Welcome again to the best day of your week.
Good morning.
Welcome, everyone.
It's so awesome to have you today.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah.
It's nice to be here.
Wangala!
Christ nailed to a cross.
There's something in the life of Abraham that points us towards Christ.
And so Jesus is fully God.
We're fully accepted.
How have you been finding Grow over the past couple of weeks, Mpho?
I love it.
The Google Classroom.
Chicken fit is delicacy for so many people.
Community around the table.
Yes. Putting more vegetables in our menu through the week.
And enjoy praising.
Hey,
welcome again to the best day of your week.
But welcome to Sunday Night Live. It is so good to have you back this evening. We have quite the show for you this evening. It's going to be so cool. Yeah, and we are starting our new show or new series.
New series.
#AskingForAFriend. And what is that about?
So pretty much we're going to be looking at all things relationships, dating, marriage. We have this week, we have two incredible guests.
Yep.
So tonight, and we're going to be talking about expectation versus reality.
Yeah, kind of what you expect out of life and kind of what you actually get out of life. There is a difference, I think. And I mean, we've experienced that in our own lives. Respectively. What else is coming up? Respectively.
And then next week we are going to be looking into addiction. We're going to have some experts here with us, and we're going to be chatting around that. But what we really want to do is to create an opportunity for you to ask questions. So we've created a Google form for you to fill out, so you can ask all of those questions that maybe you would want to ask for a friend, and that's the whole purpose of this. So
all those kind of questions that you've always been a little afraid to ask.
Maybe a little awkward if you're like me.
Is this a dumb question? Does everybody just know this? Or maybe it's not a dumb question, because there's no dumb questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, put down those taboo questions that you
those things that you want to know the answers to, but actually nobody's spoken about it, or the questions haven't been asked.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I realize that it's not that obvious. So we think that it is, but hey, a lot of people could be wondering the same thing.
Yep. Especially coming from different backgrounds, different families of origin. You're taught different things.
Yeah, there's lots of
And the dining room discussions are quite varied. But this morning, I was watching from home, and I saw that
we had some serious fun this morning.
Yeah, you did. And you guys made some phone calls to honor ladies, like almost across the province, from different people. And so what we thought we would do, we'd do something similar here on SNL. And it's what are we calling it?
We're calling it crush calls.
Crush calls.
So call a crush.
If you've got a crush, but you're just not brave enough to make the phone call or hit that text,
Yeah, send.
we will do it for you. So just put your crush's name and their number, and
If you have their number.
If you have their number, and send it to the WhatsApp number on your screen right now, and we'll call your crush. We've actually got one lined up for you. I think
it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. So let's get them on the line. All right.
I think we're going to...
It's ringing. Wait.
Hello?
Yeah.
Is this Wanga?
Yeah, this is Wanga.
I'm sorry, this is so embarrassing. I saw you on Urban Life's live stream, and I just have to say, I have the biggest crush on you. Oh my goodness. It's just, your muscles are just so amazing. Can I touch them, please? Please.
Sorry?
Can I please touch your muscles?
Wait, is this for SNL?
Don't worry about it, bro. Welcome to SNL. This has been Crush Calls. You better be watching. I hope you're watching.
I'm like, wait, this is absolutely SNL. You're going to be so awkward there for a sec.
Okay, thanks for your time, bro. Love you, man. Oh. There we go.
And that's our crush call for this evening.
Brilliant.
Looking forward to next week.
Well, let's just do this. Here we go.
Amazing. Well, welcome to SNL. We are with our incredible guests here. We have Andy and Craig, or Mom and Dad for you.
Mom and
Kev,
Dad for me, yes.
Don't know how you want to refer to them.
I don't know.
Good to be here.
So we're so excited.
I'm very nervous.
Are you? Are you not
Yeah,
sure
I'm very
what to
nervous.
expect?
No.
Well, it's so.
Why do you keep looking at
She's
me?
just constantly looking like, Kevin, what are you going to do?
I'm not going to do anything.
But you know what you can do? You can comment and let us know where you're watching from. And also, if you have questions for Craig and Andy, we're going to be chatting to them now about relationships, kids, grandkids, money, you name it. We're probably going to cover it this evening. And Andy is getting closer to Craig by that.
I don't know why she's getting further from me. It's not like I have anything to throw at you.
Because you've got a crush.
But you never know.
Oh, look at that. They call each other every day, and that's the
Oh,
crush
cute.
call.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's like, I'm not sure about
ain't
that.
buying
That's our crush call for the week. So welcome. We got Megan, Timber, Nicole, a whole bunch of people joining
Hey,
in.
nice to see you guys.
Ruan, Kenny G is loud in the background. Yes, we were trying to set a somewhat, I don't know, romantic mood for asking
Yes.
for a friend.
Ah.
But
It's
yes,
interesting with our crush calls.
absolutely.
So, Kev, why don't you kick us off this evening?
Gee. Well, so you guys have been married for 35 years.
We have.
That's a long
It's
time.
longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
It's
So it
older
should
than
be.
me.
And so it should be. You are right.
That is a good one.
I made that point so that we
yeah.
could get that point in.
Well done.
How long? You dated for a little bit before that? I mean,
1 year.
yeah. There's some pretty big birthdays coming up this year for you.
Yeah. Next month,
Next month,
I turned the new 50.
the new
Nice.
50, which is
The
60.
60 is the new 50.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then you are turning 36,
36.
This year as well,
36.
also next month. If you want to know, the Clark kind of family is great at family planning. We're all born in September.
Yeah. All of us.
All of us are born
Everybody.
in September, which
1, 9, 12, 28.
You?
it's like Christmas, but stretched out. Anyway, so you guys, you've seen a lot of the world. You've seen it go from no TV to color TV. Well, no,
Oh my goodness, I'm just like, Kevin, what are you doing?
Yes.
I had
No, no,
TV. I
I've
was
seen that.
Oh, you
grew up
grew
in
up-
another
South Africa.
country.
Yeah.
I grew up in another country. I had TV.
Okay, so one had TV, one didn't have TV. It was you told me
Yeah.
stories of listening to guys, the astronauts land on the moon with the radio,
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
and then black and white TV, color TV,
Yep.
satellite TV. First cell phones, you've still
Yep.
got that one lying around.
Yep.
So
It's amazing.
when we are talking expectation versus reality, you guys have seen quite a bit. So when they were said, "What's color TV like?" What was your expectation versus reality? So that's what we kind of want to break out.
Yeah.
Just to set this series up before we get into
Maybe
addiction,
like the nitty gritties of the, yeah.
addiction and singleness for her, for him, marriage,
We can't even remember what being single is
all
like.
of those things. So,
Yeah, so how did you meet then?
Yes.
So obviously, I mean, I don't actually know that story, and I don't know if anybody else does, but how did you two meet?
We were in the youth group together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
that's
met
so
at church.
cute.
Andy dated a Craig before this Craig.
Oh, it's like you. Didn't you
runs in
date
the
Rebecca?
family. I dated a Rebecca before I married another one.
You just had the wrong name, hey? You just.
I was like, oh, I heard Craig, but oh no, wait, not
Yeah.
that one. Okay, that one.
So we dated for about, we actually
year.
only dated for 6 months, and then we were engaged for 6 months. We dated for a
Okay,
year.
yeah.
Yeah, so it feels like forever ago, you know?
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
The world
So we
was
met
different then.
we met at the youth
Yeah.
group, so that was something. I mean, I think I'd been involved in the youth group at a bigger level or deeper level than you had. And
Yeah.
it was an interesting time.
So,
like
so if you could think back to before you were married, and then to now, 35 years on, what was the expectation, and what has been your reality? It's a bit of a broad question. But like 1 or 2 points, the one that stands out. Let's just say the one that stands out for you. What was your expectation of what it would be like, as opposed to the lived reality?
Okay, you go.
Yeah, I think that a lot of tonight, and maybe this will come from a base of something that a quote that I read about from a Greek philosopher. It was actually before the time of Christ, Archilochus, and he said this: you don't rise to the level of your expectation, but you fall to the level of your training. And he was talking in the context of war, and that's you know,
one way to describe marriage.
That's getting real. I like it.
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah.
I was going to say I expected war.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect war, but it's the training level. Now, we would normally, when this side, 2,000 years later, whatever, training would be varsity school. Our Western mind would go to that.
Yeah.
And I think for marriage, there was very little training for us.
Yeah, nothing.
And even theoretical training, you know, in terms of, you know, the expectations like a marriage course and stuff. So we had to, in some way, learn the hard way. And experience, to me, is one of the best teachers. In fact, you can have all the knowledge but not have the experience.
Yeah.
So experience is one of the greatest teachers or learning. And I think that many people enter into marriage having an expectation but having little training at all. Never mind, you know, life experience.
I'm not too sure what sort of training.
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
What
like
training
like.
So we didn't have any premarital counselling. So now at Urban Life Church, we like to send people on premarital counselling, just because I think we could have saved ourselves some little rocky bumps.
So we had an expectation, and then we arrived there, and it was like
it was
we hadn't a clue.
Much harder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was much harder, but has there been an expectation, so you expected one thing and your expectations have been exceeded in a positive sense?
Yeah, I mean, I never
100%.
ever thought that I would travel quite as much as I did. So I think I'm far more, I'm maybe a little bit like young Ben, not so much of a risk taker. And so and I didn't know this when I married Craig. I thought he was the conservative one. And actually, what we discovered was
we've had a word from our producer. Surprise!
Yeah, that was a surprise. So I think that Craig has enabled me to go further than what I thought I would. He has been in my corner. He's been saying, "Come on, Addie, you can do this thing. Let's go to that nation. Let's go to that nation." I mean, I came from a family where we didn't travel. My dad used to go away for 6 weeks to England, and that was it for the year, and then come home. And, you know, they have traveled a bit more now, but we've really done a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
And I think that had it not been for Craig, I think I would not have traveled, not even half as much. So that's been great. I've loved that. He's made me a little bit more adventurous and a little bit more like, I'm not on the edge yet. I'm far more like, now you sure?
You're still more adventurous in the food department than what?
Yeah, but that's food.
Yeah.
That's
so
food.
my expectation, I wasn't expecting any turmoil in marriage or any war or fighting, and I found out that, you know, there's quite a bit of that.
Unfortunately, I am a fighter, hey?
But I think that's good to hear, because so often, I mean, like, if I'm on the outside, it's like, do married people fight? Like, what does it look
Just
like? It looks different for different people. So it's good to know, actually, like, there is fighting in marriage, and it's not a bad thing.
And sometimes not just fighting as you're fighting one another, but I think, you know, Andy, she described our marriage and comparing it to someone else. She says that, like, they've got a calm pond, but we've got a tumultuous sea. And so I'd rather be in a tumultuous sea than in a calm pond. That's one, you know. So I'd rather have the wide open spaces of an ocean, as much as there's storms and there's that, but there's places to go. But in a calm pond, it's just you know, it's
calm.
It's calm and it's pondy and it's smelly.
Under there.
But
you don't know what's down there.
But we've had to learn through that. So yes, so there was no expectation of that. My expectation of sex was blown away, but it was way better than I expected. So
there you go.
Exceeded. So
You didn't even have to ask the
I know, I was
question.
just going to say,
Whoa,
this
look
is
at that.
amazing.
They
Like,
went
Craig
there
just went
and,
straight.
and
Yeah,
I didn't even have time to get out.
Yeah, Kevin was like, so how do you want to phrase this question to mom and dad? They only had sex twice, Kev. It's
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Only
Yeah, only twice.
I have a sister, if you're wondering.
Yeah, so I don't know, in terms of just then the introduction of having kids and kind of then navigating that, was it difficult? Was it, you know,
It was
completely...
fun having kids. Giving birth to them was another whole story. Which,
You know a lot about that, huh?
yeah, the birthing nearly
process?
just that was the end of me. I was
he
like,
was bad.
Kevin wasn't the easiest child to come out, and so he needed some assistance, and that freaked me out. But so I had no expectation of that. The reality was incredible from. Amazement to also this wonder, and
Yeah.
changed my life.
I loved having the kids. I think that we had a lovely. They were quite compliant, Rebecca. They were quite compliant when they were little. When they lived in my house, they were quite compliant. So we had.
Are we not compliant now?
So we had some.
Interesting.
We had. Honestly, they were really great kids. So,
Yeah, we've
so
had-
for us, I kept saying to Craig, and probably the one regret, is it a regret? You're supposed to not live with regrets, but you do, is that we didn't have more,
Oh,
you
so
know?
that's actually...
I mean, that's like just a pearl of wisdom
Yeah, right there.
if you didn't catch it.
Yeah, I just think, we all say you shouldn't live with regrets, you should just forget about your past, whatever. But in some way, because the kids were so easy and because...
They turned out so well.
And they turned out so well, and it's just amazing. And none of my children want to have more grandbabies. They don't, not grandbabies.
They want
children.
grandbabies.
I would like grandbabies one day.
So,
So there's an expectation that exceeded the reality that exceeded expectation was grandchildren.
Grandkids?
Unbelievable. People said it's right and
My
all
best
of that,
thing ever.
but the reality far exceeded any expectation.
yeah.
You have twice the amount of grandchildren that you have children,
Children.
so you got more.
Yeah, I did. I would like some more, please.
Just
No
right,
ways.
did you
not,
hear?
not split between two continents.
Half and half. So, hey guys, why don't you comment and let us know if you have a question for Andy and Craig in and around what we've been chatting about, or maybe something that you would say is an expectation versus reality, because we'd love to ask them those questions here.
Yes. And okay, so you are almost 60. Can you talk to us? You're almost 60 next month. I don't know if that's scary to
That's
say
scary to
or
say.
offensive. I don't know, but that's
It's
that is
almost
the reality.
Sure, I'm married to an old man.
Yeah, and you're only 36.
The best thing happened to me the other day. I had to go for one of these COVID screenings.
Okay.
And they wanted my ID, the whole thing, telephone number, ID number. So the guy wrote my ID number. Of course, you can tell the date, the year. And he stopped and he looked up at me and he said, "Are you 60? And I said,
Sickisty.
"Yeah, 60.
Sickisty.
And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You don't look a day older than 40. So I was like, yes. So
cool.
maybe 60 is the new 40 for me.
Maybe it's the new 40.
Well, maybe he should have put his glasses on or something perhaps.
Hey.
So banter's always good.
Banter's
giving
always
each
good.
other a
So
hard
this
time.
is just like, political games between two countries before they have war. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. No, I'm kidding. Talk to us about friends and friendships.
Friends and friendships, well...
It's not COVID.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he
my
coughed
goodness,
on
you
my
know,
back.
you're not allowed to
I
cough
just
on
swallowed
this
some spit, so.
Friends and friendships, I think with us leading a church, it's a little trickier. And, we've been doing that for 25 years because our time is not our own. And there's certain things that we can't talk to our friends about. So that makes friendships for me a little trickier. I find that that's more difficult. We've got some good long-standing friends. You don't want to call them old friends because,
Because
So
that's offensive?
Craig has got a friend that he's had since he was 5. I don't have those. I grew up in another nation. I don't have friends from 5.
Yeah.
And I mean, he married one of my friends, so we've got a good friendship. But we never see them. But if we had to
Because they
see
live
them,
in
it would
Cape
be
Town.
If we had to see them, it would be like picking up
Where you left
Yeah.
off.
where we left off. So I think friendships have been trickier for me than they have for Craig. I'm not too sure why.
I think the
Don't know why.
complexity has been around ministry and the spiritual dynamic. And so we have had one of those things to do ministry as friends, mates in ministry. And that has been tested over time.
Yeah.
We have incredible friends in ministry.
Yeah, we do.
And that is, something that we have lived for the last 25 years, 26 years in ministry. But it has also cost us in a good way, as in we've planted people out. So over 25 years, we've sent out a number of couples. Most of them are real friends. And then, they haven't been able to be close friends in proximity. And then others that have felt like betrayals, But you have to move on. And we don't see them as failures, but there are some hurt and painful things. And so it's not easy. But that's a ministry-wise. And I don't think that's for everybody.
No.
Yeah, and would you say that was part like your expectation of going into ministry? Did you know that, or was it just the reality of it?
I had no clue about that.
So when we went into ministry, I remember the year before, Craig said we're going to go and plant it, or he's feeling led into ministry. So this is the one reality and expectation. Okay, so he will tell you that he told me before we got married that he was called into ministry. I will tell you that he never said a word. So one day the highlight reel is going to play, and we'll see who's right or wrong. Because that year before that we went into ministry, I would say, no, I can't be at that church. I'm there because I was teaching the preschool there. I cannot be there 7 days a week because I had a prayer meeting on a Saturday morning. I'm not going to be there 7 days a week. And about 2 or 3 months into the church, I said, I was crying. I wish I had been there 7 days a week because that was good training. Craig was there 7 days a week. And that had been good training. I wish I'd trained myself more for the absolute integration between life, our lives, our family life.
Always training us for our next season.
100%. And you can enter into that or not. And I chose not to. And I struggled a lot more going into ministry than what
So
Craig
for me,
did.
this COVID-19 God's train is using it. He didn't send it, but
definitely.
he's using it to train us for what's to come.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah, if we'd pick
There's
it.
a great expectation. Now, the reality will probably be very different to what we expect. But he is training us for that.
Yeah, well, we have a great question from Rebecca. She said, how do you make time for all of the spheres you're involved in? Personal, ministry, business, spouses, parents, grandparents. How do you actually make time for all all of those spheres?
Okay, I'll give
Badly.
my... Okay, no, I'll give my... I'm going to give my...
At least we're getting honest. At least we're getting honest answers out here.
And people always say like balance, 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 but is that really a thing?
No.
Like, I think it's a bit of a myth, so that's why I want to hear, like, what do you think?
Okay, so I have, because those grandbabies, they're not mine, you know. So I can't regulate them. I can't say you're going to be in my house until you're 21, or how are we going to do this? So they are my priority at the moment. So when I get an opportunity and I'm exhausted, I suck it up. And I say, suck it up, Andy. You can go to bed. You don't have to be up with them in the night. So I will carve that time out for the grandbaby. So that's how I do that.
Yeah. I think what you're doing when it comes to trying to live in balance, or they say priority, so it must be God first, then your marriage, and you do a priority list. The reality of that, it is unscriptural and never works. Why? Because you start on the top and then you lose willpower, because it's just not going to work. But what you got to put is God in the center and give equal passion and time and effort and whatever it is to all the areas of your life. And so that becomes difficult. And so you win some, you lose some, but keeping Christ at the center is the most important thing you can do. So if you get God first, not first in priority, but first in the center, and then you put your life around that, whether it's that. And different times and different things. And I think it's about knowing that. So Andy's amazing with the grandkids. She's incredible because she has made that decision. So that centers her into that. And nothing else is then comes into that. So
Yeah, and I love that you say it's actually a decision. It's a decision to kind of go, okay, it doesn't matter how I feel, like I'm going to love my grandchildren, I'm going to spend time with them. And
100%.
I suppose it's like that in those different spheres where you go, okay, I might be tired, but actually I'm going to make time to do this. I'm going to make time to connect with someone or, you know, build the friendships that actually need, you know, in this season.
Time. I mean, the one thing for me is that we haven't been as closely connected with like my family and Craig's family, which has, because of the planning of the church, so we've missed out on quite a few family events, Sunday lunches and all that because of decisions that we've had to make. So there are sacrifices.
It will catch up in eternity.
How do you deal with that, though?
I mean, it's quite for me, Craig is a lot more hard-hearted.
He's like, it's fine, it'll be okay.
For me, it's quite a tough thing. For me, there's been moments where it's been a really, really heart-sore thing. When you see the family gathering and we haven't been able to gather, or we've been overseas, or we've been traveling for ministry, or something like that. And then in the moments that we could be there and we've been forgotten, not because they want to, it's just we never at those things because we're always saying no. So those are the tough, heart-sore things. But they're not. They don't trip me out.
We had to make those decisions.
Yeah, we had
to
make those decisions.
We made those decisions, but we also had to make decisions around kids. So we traveled in Kevin's teenage years. There would have been many years that I traveled 150 nights out of my bed a year. So it's more than half the year I was out of my bed in that. So some of it was over 100 years overseas. And
100 years?
I was going to say,
100 days.
You're turning 60.
100 years.
And they felt like years.
Let us know about that time travel.
100 days, at least a year overseas, and so and then others local. So there was a lot of travel. So I mean, maybe the question needs to be going back there. It's God's grace as I look at it and going, wouldn't recommend that, but it was what it was, and for the good of the kingdom.
Yeah.
But so that was tough for us, and God's grace was sufficient for us.
Yeah, that's good. So Temba has a question. It's really great, saying, "What are your Clark family values?" Maybe Kev can also answer.
So is he asking the Clark family, or is he asking those two?
Temba, could you clarify for us? Which are you asking?
Which Clarks are you asking?
I'll tell you that there's two, there's probably many, but there'll be two that I think we will always come back to, unity and agreement. Would be, there's those two for me. I didn't start out like it, and I learned what it was like not to be in agreement and unity with Andy, and so that became something. But also the discovery, that's where God commands a blessing, and I think that's bled into urban life, which would do. And yeah, I think there's a few things that you'll probably find in the church, and this is the difficulty of leading a church for 25 years, and the joy of leading a church for 25 years. The difficulty is that you see your values in the church, and you go, this thing, it shouldn't be around about me, it should be about Christ, and so you've got to work that through. The joy of it is you see some values that are now bringing glory and honor to God. So I think things like pioneering, doing something once for the glory of God. Let's
I don't know. You should answer this.
Yeah, I was going to say it would be interesting to hear what Kev has to say.
No, I don't know. I think
love Jesus.
We always put the kingdom first. So it's the kingdom above all, and so when we put Jesus first, and everything else kind of we might have to fight it into position, but it follows. So it was always put the kingdom first, and this is what Rebecca and I have also done. Is we said, okay, the kingdom will come first. We'll serve. Rebecca will leave home. Even on, like today, she left home at 6:30. Ben was up and he said, I want to come with. And okay, off you come. Doesn't stop us from serving the kingdom. So put the kingdom first.
Pretty can-do attitudes, I think. You know, there's a value of, hey, we can do this. No, obviously we need God's grace and we do that, but we can do this. Rather, we can do it rather than,
no, we can't.
I'm not sure if I can, you know. So if you want me to make a piece of furniture and I've never done it before, I can do that. And boy, then I got to go away and find out how to do it. And that's pretty much how we've been.
Yeah, so
creative,
can do. Not too sure. I think it's just lived. I think somebody looking from the outside would probably would be able to tell us what our values.
Yeah. Rebecca says remaining teachable.
Many fights, eh?
Many fights.
I was about 15 or 16, hey?
I think there again,
You
honor,
just come back
teachable.
and talk to me when you.
Yeah, remaining
Change of
teachable,
face, no,
honoring,
no
Change your
short
face.
no
accounts,
sulking,
short
no
accounts,
sulking.
no counts, those kind of things,
no manipulation, change of face.
An adventure, I would say adventure. So I watched other families that lived similar lifestyles to what we did. They would go somewhere for ministry, and I've seen it now growing up with other families where the husband or the wife travels for business, and the family tags along. And it's only ever been you go in, you do what you got to do, and you come back. And it was always, I think the prime example was when Urban Life was taking food up into Zim. All those years ago, I just turned 21, and the rumor on the street was no one wanted to go to Vic Falls because it was just too far. And you said, there's Victoria Falls there, and there's whitewater rafting that we can do, and
we're gonna do it.
and off we hurtled off, and we all piled in cars, and we took the food up, and we dropped the food. It was wonderful. Took some photos.
The word is drop the food. Everybody else had ministry times.
We
Everybody had ministry times when they put the food down and
we always do what others won't
said, we're going to Victoria Falls.
And we went to Brazil for a month. You took us in our school holidays, and I remember you had 2 weeks of training and a conference, and then you took us. So I remember. So just picture this: a hot little office. I have no idea where in Sao Paulo, in some travel agency, with the pastor. He ran that travel agency.
Yeah.
And we had a massive family debate whether we should go skiing or go to the beach.
Yeah. The beach one.
The beach one, and that was just because look here it comes.
Oh,
Here's our grandbaby.
Hi.
This is one of my children, and we had
It goes to the aunt.
It wasn't. It wasn't such a debate as it was.
Do you want to say hi?
Skiing was just.
No.
Skiing was just too expensive. Yeah. And so we spent 2 weeks, beautiful 2 weeks up in Fortaleza. And it was amazing. So adventure has always been one of our family values. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so good to have you on the couch with us this evening.
It's great
we're not quite on the couch.
Yeah, we're not with us, but you know what I mean.
Thank you for having us.
I was very nervous.
I know you were.
Kevin and all his drama.
Oh, yes, because drama follows
There
me
we
around.
go, Kevin.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for coming in and
wonderful.
sharing your
And well
wisdom.
done for all what you're doing. Thank you
it's
for
great. It's
Sunday
great
Night
fun.
Live. Thank you for pioneering things.
Such a great vibe between the.
Yeah.
You know, you guys on the sitting at home don't see the shenanigans that go on here. I mean, it's unbelievable, the shenanigans.
Yeah, guys kicking each other in the face.
Yeah, that's just a
Not on
usual
purpose,
Sunday
not on
night
purpose.
chat.
We
It's
don't promote
a
violence.
real beautiful community. So
Yeah,
well done. It's
Well
really
done.
great.
Wonderful.
You're building
Keep
a
at
great thing.
it. Keep building it.
Yeah.
Keep changing. You're doing good.
Yeah.
So right now we are going to cross over again to our new-looking studio.
Yeah.
And Kelsey's going to share with us God's perspective of expectations versus
Oh, we should have had
reality.
that first.
Yeah. Then we
Well,
can
no.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to
We
get
got-
this
we
out of the
got-
way. You know, I was getting so nervous.
Yeah, we got some earthly wisdom, and now we'll get some biblical wisdom.
Okay, cool.
Let's cross over.
Amazing. So incredible to talk to your parents.
Yes,
Kevin,
it
you
was
are
so cool.
blessed. Like, honestly, I think
I
you
know
need to
I
take a
am.
moment to recognize that because, wow.
I've taken many.
Yeah. It's so good to just listen to their wisdom and perspective on things. And I think talking about expectation versus reality, I was telling Kev earlier, the character and the story in the Bible that I always think of is Joseph.
Yeah.
And Craig touched on it a couple of weeks ago, but in Genesis 37 to 50, chapters, 37 to 50. I'm like, let me think about that. It kind of follows the story of Joseph. And, you know, he's a young boy. God gives him dreams, and they're pretty crazy. Like,
It's pretty crazy.
if you read the story, it's kind of like, wow, listen to those dreams. But what I love about it is actually the way things play out, it's nothing like you would imagine it to be.
I mean, that would make a great Hollywood movie, because I mean, there's such an expectation. He basically says to his brothers that they're going to bow
down to him,
and or he's compared to the sun.
Yeah, it's like,
it's crazy. It's crazy. And then there's a serious plot twist.
yeah, and then he finds himself in jail. He's forgotten while he's in jail, so he's there with other people.
His brothers sold him.
He's interpreting dreams, and at the end of the day, we see that the one thing is that God is faithful to what he promises, and God is faithful to his word. But the reality is that it looks very different.
It does look very different, and if you have been in the place where you may have heard God give you some direction on your life, that's the way I would describe it. Is God gives us direction. He puts up signposts. He kind of go this way, not this is exactly what your life is.
Yeah, I love that Craig is constantly saying it's not that God gives us the destination, but he gives us direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we were just saying, like, honestly, in the reality of it, it can be a lot more difficult than what we expect it to be.
Totally. I mean, so the reality of Joseph's story was that his brothers did bow down to him, but they had no idea who he was.
Yeah, when they did.
Yes, and even Joseph took, I'm sure he took a moment to kind of go, oh, I had a dream so many years ago. I think it was, I don't know how many years ago.
It was a lot of years between,
a lot of years, between. And so when God speaks, because he does speak, and when he speaks to you, there does seem to be a gap between what you might
the
think
dream
it
and the
looks
reality.
like, or the dream, or the expectation of what God has said to you, and the reality that you live into.
Yeah.
And I think if you follow God's direction, I think you'll see your life will take on a whole new meaning. It'll take on a whole new direction, that's for sure.
Yeah, so I love Psalm 37, just as you were saying that. It's like in the TPT, it says, give God the right to direct your life.
Amazing, yeah.
And it's just incredible to think, actually, when we do that, when we say, God, you know what, your kingdom come, your will be done. And we kind of come alongside and go, okay, you know what, it doesn't matter actually what we go through and what we experience. You're going to be true to your word. And as people, I think we need to be found in God's word. We need to be seeking his face in his word. And as he speaks, he will direct. And sometimes it's one little brave, bold step at a time, or one day at a time. But God is faithful to actually come through with what he says he will.
Yep. A
And
journey
that's
of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
And that's what we want to encourage you with, just this expectation versus reality. And just going, yes, there is an expectation. But at the end of the day, if our faith is in Jesus, if we place our trust in God, then step by step, he'll reveal one step at a time. And it'll be full of faith.
There's that proverb that says, man makes his plans and God determines his steps. And that is how we follow Christ on this journey.
It's good.
So, Kelsey, Jan Ben and RJ, we actually haven't seen them
much
tonight.
today, hey? Yeah.
No, nothing yet. But boy, do we have an online YouTube tutorial for you.
It's going to be
and they are going to be showing us how to make pineapple beer. Over to you guys.
Cool. So if you guys were wondering who the guy was that got kicked in the face, that was me. Luckily, you can't see my lip over here. If you're wondering who did it, it was Jan Ben, my handy assistant that's going to join me for this tutorial.
I have apologized multiple times, and it really was a misunderstanding.
So I'm going to keep this mustache for at least this week, otherwise people are going to ask some questions.
I mean, that's a fair point. But I mean, I have to clarify something. I thought we were making pineapple smear. I didn't know we were making pineapple beer.
No, I said beer. I definitely said beer.
So we might have some issues with some ingredients, but it's fine. We'll make it work. Don't worry.
Make it work. So your first ingredient, the thing that you're going to need the most important, is the biggest shell you can find. So this is the one we found. Make sure it's a blue one as well. All right? We're going to put it right over here. Cool. The second ingredient you're going to need is some water. Preferably water, actual water.
That's fine. I'll get it. You can't trust these hands. these days. So I mean, a lot of water.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a splash of water.
Just a splash.
Cool.
That's fine.
You're also going to need some flour. It's supposed to be yeast, but, you know.
I mean, I'm sure
you
flour
heard smear.
works. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I do apologize.
All right.
Just something like that?
No, just a little more.
Okay. Okay. That's...
Yeah, that should be good. We're good.
In case you didn't know this about pineapple beer, apparently there's...
And then you're going to need just a little bit of sugar.
Yeah, that's...
Exactly this much.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, just a spoon.
And I think you said a pinch of salt, right?
Yeah, just a pinch.
So just a pinch of salt.
Yeah,
there we go.
Little like man-sized.
Okay, all right. I mean, it's good that you're here.
There we go.
Great. And then I think for pineapple beer, we probably need some pineapple, right? Pineapple
Yeah, that would
sounds
work.
like a...
Definitely work.
Whoop.
Whoop.
I mean, that's on me. I do apologize.
You do need to take it out the can.
That's probably how I kicked you in the
It's a bit
face.
more
Something like that as well.
digestible.
Yeah, so.
100%.
All right.
This looks delicious.
It does. I actually want to eat it. I don't want to use it in there.
Smells a bit funky, but
All right. There we go. Nice. Do you reckon we need some more water?
yeah, definitely. Just a cup of water.
Just a cup. All right. So a cup, you say?
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Great. That's probably
Cool.
1 cup, or
All right.
more or less.
Then you need something to just make it a little bit spicy. You know, beer generally has
That kick.
that kick.
Yeah, I think like cinnamon or something.
Yeah, let's try some cinnamon.
Okay, that's definitely.
Jan Ben's had that before.
Yeah, that's not the first time.
Okay, let's just throw a teaspoon or so in there.
Yeah, I think a teaspoon should be all right. Good. We should be
All
fine
right,
with
I
that.
think we've got all the ingredients.
Amazing.
Now, this is probably the most important thing you're going to need, and that's a mixer. So, we don't have a PowerPoint.
Ah,
So I think let's
didn't
just...
think this through. Yeah, that
do
sounds
this.
about right.
Cool.
Okay, almost fell over there. That would have
Right,
been
so
great.
now you really want to get this nice and mixed up.
And I mean, a little known fact, this is great for your skin, guys. So I mean, it's not
Yeah,
just tasty and
super
things, but I
soothing.
mean, it's apparently
It
also...
smells pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
It's probably the cinnamon.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I mean,
Does the camera really get how gross this looks?
probably not, but I mean, it is...
So let's stomp those really good. Just stay in the shell. Stay in the shell.
Yeah, almost fell over there, so be careful. So I mean...
Luckily, Jan Ben's got knees for TV.
I mean, so I've heard before, but I mean, I don't know what classifies as these for TV, but
All right. I think this looks pretty good, eh?
I think so too.
I'd drink this.
I mean,
But I mean, we made, you know, you got to get somebody else to really test.
I like that idea, especially like if we think about last week when you made the sandwich, but I had to eat it. We probably need someone else to
I agree.
to drink
yeah.
the beer. I think that's a
So
reasonable
could we just
request.
let's bottle this up. All right, glass bottle. You want to really preserve the flavor.
And it's all about sustainability at the end of the day. So I mean, rather use glass. Oh, make sure it gets nice pineapple. Oh, that looks like something, definitely.
Does the camera get that?
Yeah. Guys, I'm honest, this really smells good. I mean, I don't know what...
Just a disclaimer, I wouldn't try this at home, but Jan Ben and I did wash our feet before this,
Yes, we did.
this morning.
Yeah, I mean, at some point today, our feet was washed and it is clean.
All right, let's get a few more chunks in there.
Oh, that looks interesting.
All right. I think that's a decent
Yeah,
chug.
I think so. I mean, have we decided whether it's going to be Kevin or Kelsey?
So I've heard that Kelsey has to close the show.
Oh, you're right. Kelsey has to close the show. Yes. So Kelsey,
So
if
Kelsey,
you
would
could
you join
join
us
us,
up
that
here?
would be great.
Gentlemen,
Step into our office.
Let me wash this bottle off for you.
how did I get here? Wow.
This is why we do SNL.
Amazing, guys.
There you go,
I just want to
Kelsey.
say this looks so good.
Cheers.
And I just want to thank you for your effort. I don't think I can drink it alone, though. Jan Ben, I think, you know what? I think I'll have one sip, and I think you can have another sip. How about that? Okay, so here I go.
Ooh. Did you really get a good sip in there, Kelsey?
Oh, my goodness, that is delicious.
Comment if you
Everyone-
think she really took a sip. I mean,
Everyone should try this at home. There's quite a bit of cinnamon in there. It's your turn.
okay,
Yeah,
great.
There we go. Amazing. Let's see. Very salty.
Ew. You
Little
guys
too
couldn't hear
salty
that,
for
but
my
there was a
liking.
comment from backstage saying down, down.
Well, RJ said
And it may or
chug, so
may
I was like,
not have
chug,
been
chug.
from Andy.
Oh, okay.
Good job. Good job. Your turn.
Oh, yeah, pass it on.
Sharing is caring, although not when it comes to COVID.
Guys,
Let's
remember
not
COVID
do that.
restrictions.
Wow.
Oof, yeah, that's
So
not
we're going to
nice.
recover from that. But thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Have a fantastic week. And remember to submit your questions via Google Forms. And we'll see you next week for Asking for a Friend at SNL. Bye. Still bye.
Bye.